podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to ZPG Ice Maidens, the only dedicated Women's National Ice Hockey League podcast.
Part of the ZPG network of UK ice hockey podcasts.
We're in partnership with
the Hockey Art Club, hockey clothing for hockey people.
Worn by the best
and hated by the rest.
Listen to the ZPG network.
Get a 10% discount on everything
at hockeyartclothing.co.uk.
Just enter the code ZP10 on checkout to get your discount.
We're also part of the Sports Social Podcast Network,
the biggest sports podcast network in Europe,
boasting over 450 podcasts
for more than 15 different sports.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode on ZPG Ice Maidens. Last week we told you about how GB's senior team were hosting a training camp in Lee Valley, which culminated with a 2-game series against Poland. The 2 matches form part of GB's preparations for next month's Olympic qualifiers at Ice Sheffield. Game 1 saw Great Britain beaten 3-2 by Poland after overtime. Wiktoria Sikorska put Poland ahead on the power play at 9 minutes 41 before GB equalised through Emily Harris about 5 minutes later. Beth Hill scored on the power play as GB went in front 5 minutes into the second period, but Karolina Pozniewska's goal sent the game to overtime when she scored with less than 7 minutes to go. Claudia Trapek scored the game-winning goal for Poland in the extra period, 24 seconds in. Game 2 saw Great Britain beat Poland 4-3 after needing penalty shots in what was a thrilling game, with GB bouncing back with a dramatic victory from the day before. Nicole Jackson started between the pipes for GB and Poland went ahead short-handed through Wiktoria Sikorska, just under 9 minutes in. And Olivia Tomchuk made it 2-0 early in the second period, in fact just 26 seconds into that session. Rachel Cartwright reduced the deficit on the power play 3 minutes later, and just over 2 minutes from that, Katie Marsden tied the game, so we were all level after 5 minutes 45 of the second period. Magdalena Lapayes put the visitors ahead at 35-50 to ensure they took a 1-goal lead to the intermission with them. Julia Bevan replaced Jackson in the GB net for the third period, and GB pushed for the equaliser. It arrived on the power play late in the game as Katie Marsden scored her second at 55-23 to force overtime. With no goals in the extra period, Bevan stood firm in the shootout, with Emily Harris and Jodie Alderson-Smith scoring for GB to secure a superb comeback victory. We move on now to the league action, and with the Elite League teams not playing last weekend, we go straight to Division 1 North, where Caledonia Steel Queens had to come from 2 goals behind on 3 separate occasions to snatch a late point away to Sheffield Shadows last Saturday in what was a 10-goal thriller. And what a showdown it was. The ice was buzzing with high-paced energy and relentless pressure from both sides. It was an end-to-end battle with both teams going full throttle to come out on top with electrifying action. Alicia Potts was simply magnificent for the Shadows as she gave her side the lead 4 minutes in when she put home for Matilda King and Chloe Carter. Queens, who are not used to falling behind in games, worked themselves back level with 3 minutes left in the period. Katie Trachtenberg, who was making her first road appearance of the season, equalised from Kate Gillis and Nikki Russell. It was perhaps the least the Edinburgh Bay side deserved after laying siege to Jess Kinghorn's goal and outshooting the hosts 19-6 in the opening session. A quick start to the second period saw the Shadows spot themselves a 2-goal lead. First, Emma Taylor-Lonsdale found the net from Carter before Potts scored again, this time on the power play after she put home a feed from Millie Such and captain Kelly Walsh. Queens pulled a goal back 40 seconds later when Canadian defender Michelle Davidson fired home, Russell and Gillis again collecting helpers on the play. Shadows restored their 2-goal lead just after the game's midpoint when both Shadows' goal scorers combined, Emma Taylor-Lonsdale netting her second of the game with Alicia Potts collecting her third point. Queens cut that lead in half once again with 3 minutes left in the period, Davidson grabbing her second of the game with Whitley Bay's Caitlin Eastwood registering an assist. But despite all that hard work and outshooting the Shadows once again, this time by 16-8, The home side would not be denied their 2-goal advantage going into the break. And the goal came from a familiar source. Ishbel Wright netting from Hazel Wilson and Alison Brain as the trio were reunited on the line for the first time in a year. The Queens had a lot of work to do in the final period and would once again outshoot their hosts, this time 13-2. Queens got one back 93 seconds into the period when Katie Trachtenberg converted on the power play from Caitlin Eastwood. Then they finally pulled level a couple of minutes later when Jess Bridger netted from Jess Malloy to make it 5-5. With no further goals, both sides settled for a point. Queen's player of the game went to Katie Trachtenberg, who played a great two-way game and picked up 2 goals. The Queen's blinder went to Michelle Davidson, who also had a brace. Sheffield's player of the game was Alicia Potts, while Alice Summerford made her debut in goal for Caledonia. Another high-energy game saw the Solway Sharks net 11 goals from 6 different scorers. The ladies were on a mission after the previous weekend's result in Sheffield, and all through this game, Solway kept up the pressure and used their physicality to take their chances against the Nottingham Vipers. Cassie McGregor opened the scoring at 9:03 before Abby Turner doubled the advantage towards the end of the period when she scored her first Sharks goal. Katie Russell getting the assist on the goal. Then, seconds later, McGregor grabbed her second of the game, with defender Sarah Wilson assisting. Wilson would score a goal herself after a restart, before Cassie McGregor notched her hat-trick marker inside the final 5 minutes of the period. Captain Amanda Murdoch collecting the assist. The Sharks were relentless in the final session, scoring 3 times in just over a minute. Sarah Wilson netted her second goal before McGregor grabbed her fourth of the game 27 seconds later. Abby Turner notched her second of the contest to complete the scoring burst. Sharks added to their lead inside the final 10 minutes, with Emily Duffy scoring to make it 9-0 before McGregor added her fifth soon after. Rose Abbott, who assisted on that 10th goal, scored her first Sharks goal to make it 11-0 with 28 seconds left. Lizzie Meikle secured her first ever shutout in Division 1, while Nottingham's Caitlin Woolley was kept busy at the other end for the Vipers. Solway's player of the game went to Cassie McGregor, who notched up a hat-trick and a couple of goals to spare, as she executed precisely on her shots. The Sharks' hat was awarded to Emma Miller for her physicality throughout the game and for what was a great defensive effort. In Division 1 South, the Milton Keynes Falcons claimed their first points of the season with a thrilling 8-3 win away to Cardiff Comets. Captain Nindy Taskanen gave her side the lead 1 minute 21 into the game, with Samantha Ruff getting the assist. But Cardiff, who were searching for their first point since earning promotion, were soon back level. Canadian forward Leah Cannon scoring from Beth Thomas just 50 seconds later. Cardiff wouldn't be level for long though, as Michelle Lyle restored the Falcons' advantage at 4:46 from Catherine Ruff. The Falcons would increase their advantage later in the period when Ninny Taskanen scored her second of the game, with the supply once again coming from Samantha Ruff. The second period remained close, but a pair of goals coming on Falcons' power plays took the game away from the Comets. First, Samantha Ruff converted at 32-28 from Michelle Lyle, before Ruff turned provider 5 minutes later when setting up youngster Katie Anderton. Anderton, who is on a two-way deal with Elite League side Solihull Vixens, netted again 13 seconds later. Leah Cannon would score her second of the game before the period was over to just about keep the Comets alive. Megan Lawrence and her sister Amy Cannon collecting the assists on the play. But another quick goal early into the final period all but confirmed victory, Robin Alder applying the finishing touch to Catherine Ruff's assist. Falcons would score an eighth with 9 minutes to go when Samantha Ruff scored from Lyle and Anderton. It would be Samantha's second goal and fifth point of the game. Cardiff's wait for a first win continues. On now to Division 2 North, where Caledonia's Division 2 team was also in action last weekend in Sheffield. It was their first away game, and a game where the key word was progress, following on what was a disappointing debut against Leeds. The scoreline may not have been in their favour, but there was a good team spirit and they were able to make life difficult for the Shadows. The Steel Queen Bees, as they're called, actually took the lead at 8 minutes 19 when Molly McGillian scored from Violet Mayer. But Sheffield were soon level 6 minutes later when Robin Wilson-Barrett netted from Emma Taylor-Lonsdale and Athene Adibor-Moses. The Shadows would forge ahead 16 seconds into the second period, Emma Taylor-Lonsdale scoring a short-handed goal for a lead they wouldn't relinquish. Emma would score again at 26-13 from Adibor-Moses and Ellen Key before notching her hat-trick marker before the period was over, Eleanor Shaw registering the assist. The former Grimsby Wolves forward continued her scoring burst into the final period when she netted 17 seconds in. She would add her fifth moments later from Lexi Yellett-Bilby to cap what was a brilliant individual display. Sheffield added 3 more goals in the final 7 minutes. First, Phoebe Gregg scored before Elsa Williams and Chloe Carter assisted on each other's goals 21 seconds apart to clinch the 9-1 win. Queen's player of the game went to Remy Delsett, who left it all out there in her third game of the weekend and had a shot blocked that energised the team. Queen's jester went to Mirena Festerazzi, who looked extremely accomplished in her first game with confidence on the puck. Shadows player of the game went to Wallace Fennessy. A big shout-out goes to Caledonia's Molly McGillian, who grabbed a goal on her senior debut and scored on both pads in Sheffield in one day. Of course, the game was also special for Lynn Sinclair's 100th appearance with the club, becoming the club's first centurion. To sum Lynn's night up, you would have to say it was the embodiment of Steel Queen's hockey, grafting, brave and selfless. She was presented with a special tankard by Iron Maiden's wee number 12, Esme Hayes, and fitting that a wee one just starting her journey with the club would give the nod to somebody who has certainly helped pave the way for those starting now. A classy move too by the Sheffield Shadows for supporting the Queens in celebrating Lynn's 100th game on the ice. The Whitley Bay Beacons suffered a second home loss of a season in Division 2 North last Sunday after being involved in an entertaining contest with a strong Kingston Diamonds side. Whitley were without captain Joy Hurst, but aside from that were at full strength, with the forward lines mostly being kept the same as we have seen in recent weeks. The all-under-16s line was kept together, meaning Emily Duffy, Brooke Royce and Claire Wilson formed one trio, while Rowan Allen's impressive chemistry with Iona Harrison also continued, with Chloe Johnston coming in to join them to form another exciting forward line. Caitlin Eastwood was a welcome returnee, and she slotted onto a line with Tanya Royce and Paige Brooks. Dee Vors was another to return to the lineup after missing the win over Widnes a fortnight ago. She was one of 7 defenders the home side used, with Lisa Eden, Alex Browell, Isabel Johnson, Lindsay Zerbin-Young, Islay Northend and Sophie Oxley. Ruth Palmer made the starting goal. The two sides met in Hull last month, with the Beacons getting off to a great start and coming away with a 7-1 win. But it would be the Diamonds who made the perfect start this time. Ash Clark put in a player of the game performance for the visitors, and she created her side's first chance in the opening minute. After cleverly winning the puck back in the offensive zone with a well-executed poke check, she worked it into some space at the high slot before advancing towards goal, splitting the Beacons' defence with her pace and hitting the post. Beacons countered moments later with Caitlin Eastwood forcing Diamonds goalie Emily Johnson into a high glove save before collecting her own rebound and going close again. From that double stop, the Diamonds' quick transition game saw them head up the ice with the fast-skating Izzy Oswin, who cut in from the left wing boards and fired across Ruth Palmer into the net on the glove side for the game's opening goal, and with not quite 90 seconds on the clock. Emily Johnson actually collected the sole assist on that goal, which tells you just how well executed a play it was, and the importance of her saves prior to that. Beacons looked for a response, and Iona Harrison kept driving forward looking for an equaliser, with one great shot in particular coming from the left of goal, which Johnson did well to save. Whitley continued to push, with Johnson making 16 saves in the first period alone, but the home side eventually got their breakthrough at 13:47, with Kingston having cut out a Beacons attack in their zone direct from a face-off. Emily Duffy capitalised on the loose puck with a huge slap shot, which fired her team back level. With plenty of end-to-end action, the period would end as it had started, with Ash Clark stealing in on a breakaway, only this time she was unable to steer her shot on target and the puck drifted wide. But it was a reminder of just how dangerous this fast-skating Diamond side could be. Further proof of that arrived seconds after our restart, when defender Nevaeh Allsop drove forward from the blue line to force Ruth Palmer into a smart save with the edge of her blocker. Back came Whitley with a delicious backhand shot from Caitlin Eastwood, forcing Emily Johnson into one of 28 saves in the second period. The Beacons were still going to remain alert at the back, with Isabel Johnson in particular executing some great defensive plays and well-timed poke checks, which broke up the Diamonds' attacks. Ash Clark continued to be a threat for the Diamonds, and she swept an effort on goal which hit the base of the post for the second time in the game. But just beyond the midpoint, Whitley took their first lead of the game. Emily Duffy sent the puck out wide to Caitlin Eastwood, who exchanged passes with Tanya Royce before her fiercely driven shot deflected up off a Diamond's stick and looped into the goal, with Emily Johnson this time unable to do anything to stop it going in. But just 11 seconds later, and directly from the restart, Izzy Oswin burst through the heart of the Beacons team to close in on goal and shot home to bring her side back level. Whitley would retake the lead before the period was over, though, when Brooke Roy shot at goal, but was denied by Johnson. However, the rebound fell perfectly for Duffy to rifle home into an empty net to give the Beacons a lead once more. Kingston were proving to be stubborn opponents and, just over a minute later, hit back with their second equaliser. Erica Proud's persistence paid off when she rode at least 3 Beacons challenges to take the puck off her before she finally advanced through the hash marks and got a shot off which fired into the blocker side of the net and bring her side back level again. For Proud, who had been excellent defensively for her side, it was perhaps a well-deserved goal. The third period continued in much the same way. Whitley dominated possession in the offensive zone, spending a lot of time there and generating a great deal more shots. But in Emily Johnson, the Diamonds have a special talent who continues to impress as equally as she does frustrate opposing players with her saves. She denied Isabel Johnson early into the session after a Beacons defender had done well to carry the puck up the ice and get a shot off. Then prevented another goal-scoring opportunity when the Beacons, on the penalty kill, executed a great breakout with Emily Duffy, who held off a Diamonds defender with one hand before getting a shot on net. Johnson again doing well to get across her line and make the save. With Duffy already on a hat-trick, she seemed determined to net her side a winning goal, and again went close on a short-handed breakaway. The Kilmarnock junior held off 3 Diamonds players to get a shot off which sailed narrowly wide of the goal. Despite the chances created, there were some strong defensive displays for both sides, with Whitley's Dee Vors and Kingston's Zoe Marple standing out in the third period when the game was very much on the line. There was time for another Beacon short-handed chance, with a strongly driven shot from Duffy as the Diamonds' power play ticked down. Coincidental roughing minors were called late on in the game, with tensions building as both sides looked to bag the 2 points. And, with 2.5 minutes to go, it would be the Hull-based side who would net the winner. From the Diamonds' defensive zone face-off, the visitors broke up the ice with Sonia Brice feeding Kerry Greaves a delightful pass, which forced Ruth Palmer into making a strong save. But in the act of doing so, the net came off and the rebound fell back perfectly to Brice to fire home. Beacons immediately called a timeout, and when play resumed, Emily Duffy's latest efforts stung the fingertips of Emily Johnson with another powerful drive to the net. But, despite being outshot, it would be the visitors who perhaps generated the best goal-scoring opportunities, and they were ruthless in taking them, while Emily Johnson was unreal in goal, making 60 saves to help her side to a first-ever win over the Beacons in 5 attempts. After the game, I spoke to Beacons forward Iona Harrison and Kingston Diamonds duo Ash Clark and Sonia Brice. Welcome to Ice Maidens, where tonight I'm catching up with Beacons forward Iona Harrison. Iona, thank you very much for joining me. Disappointing result today, 4-3 loss to Kingston, but what was your thoughts on the game?
I think we battled really well. I mean, we're hard swollen it. The morale on the bench was just there, but they pushed for it in the end and they got the win. So it is what it is. It just proves it doesn't matter what the previous game was. it could be a completely different setup on the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's quite a comfortable win down in Hull for the Beacons last month, but this was very evenly matched throughout, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I don't know what it is. I guess it just depends on the day. Like what players are there, how it's going. You know, like yeah.
Beacons outshot Kingston 63-16, had 30 shots in the last period alone, but just couldn't seem to get past Emily Johnson in the diamond.
Oh yeah, the netminder was absolutely brilliant. So shout out to her because she was absolutely class.
Yeah, she was. Disappointing as well because twice the Beacons took the lead, but on both occasions Kingston hit back within a matter of seconds, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a bit like the Widnes game. It felt like every time we scored, they scored one back. It was like, oh, but yeah.
Yeah, frustrating. And then obviously they get that goal with, 2.5 minutes to go. That's kind of a killer, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a bit gutting, to be honest. But yeah, I guess it is what it is. And yeah, move forward. One
more game before Christmas. We've got the trip away to Widnes. Thoughts on that one?
I think it could be a good game. The one at home was a really good game, really entertaining. I think it was more entertaining to watch than play because it was very nerve-wracking when we were playing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I just hope we can get the win down there like we did at home.
It would certainly be nice. Well, thank you, Iona, and I appreciate it.
No worries.
Welcome to Ice Maidens, where tonight I'm catching up with Diamonds duo Sonia, Brice and Ash Clark. So first of all, thank you both for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Well, a great win for the Diamonds today, the first of the season. How did you think it went?
Yeah, it went really well. It was really close throughout the entire game, and Sonia scored the winning goal, which we're very happy about.
Yeah, what was that like for you, Sonia?
Oh, blimey. I mean, it was nice to actually get the win because we was all hoping that we'd even just get the draw for our first win. Drawing the first game, losing the second. We wanted to come here with one of our strongest teams so that we can hopefully take on the points, and that's what we did. Yeah,
it was impressive because it was coming against a strong Beacon side which had won in the reverse fixture down in Hull. So that's a good response from Diamonds, isn't it?
Considering it's not on our own ice where we're used to playing, yeah, I think it's a really good result.
It is. A little bit unlucky probably not to have won the game against Widnes early in the season as well. So getting a win today is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we had a lot stronger team because we definitely focused on putting our best players out there and keeping short shifts, making sure everyone's energised, and it paid off.
Yeah, and Ash, you got player of the game, very well deserved. You got a couple of good shots as well. Both times you hit the post, a little bit unlucky.
There was a good few runs, but it was definitely a well played game by everyone.
Yeah, the league's really close this season. This result bunches it up even more. So there's a belief that Diamonds can get a few points this season, isn't there?
I think, yeah, we can. I think we've pulled out. I mean, the girls have trained super hard over the last year. And I think we have got such much more of a stronger team between us.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking ahead, what's the next fixture?
It's on the 24th, it's Caledonia.
Is it? Yeah, Caledonia home, and then we're Leeds home. So they're both very tough teams that we've got to face, but we're prepared.
Yeah, well, I want to wish you both very best of luck for the rest of the season, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
In Division 2 South B, it was a tough game for Coventry Phoenix, who played host to the Haringey Greyhounds last weekend. An even first period saw the North London side just edge it in shots, 14-10, and in the second, the home side would shade it by 14-13, but they were unable to find a way past Greyhounds goalie Courtney Berg. Haringey took the lead at 28:04 when Tegan Walsh scored from Jenna Johnson. A one-goal game heading into the third meant they had to push for an equaliser, but that left them overexposed at the back, and the visitors used that to their advantage, scoring 3 goals in as many minutes. Annie Mackman scored from Zoe Standish 5 minutes into the final period, and Haringey would score again 42 seconds later, Jay Jones netting from Miri Poranaz and Yami Mankanda Corliss. Jenna Johnson added a fourth with less than 12 minutes to play, with captain Hannah Dolan-Davis getting the assists. The Greyhounds outshot the Phoenix 18-9 in that final period. In the Crossover Cup, Slough Sirens came away from their game against Invicta Dynamics last Saturday with a big 9-0 win. An all-round team performance contributed to the victory with goals and assists from a majority of the team. Perry Edmiston scored twice as part of a 4-point game, while Elise Willoughby and Molly Meggans both netted a brace. Molly scoring her first league goal too. There were further goals for Sharon Khan and player of the game Emma Toos, while defender Kerry Matthews recorded 3 assists as she came away with the Star of the Game award. Former Firebees forward Carly Lilwall grabbed a couple of helpers, with Tanya Bone, Lucy Mathias, Esther Haskins and Arlani Hutchinson all registered an assist as well. Goalie Helen Oates claimed a shutout. The Oxford Midnight Stars faced off against Solent Amazons in a thrilling cup game that ended in a 5-5 tie. They got off to a good start, scoring a minute 19 into the contest through Charmaine Coles from Charlie Clements. But the home side struggled to find their rhythm thereafter, and Solent capitalised on that early disarray to force home an equaliser 3 minutes later, Chantal Eyre converting on the power play. The Isle of Wight-born forward scored again in the final minute of the first period to give the Amazons a lead. The Gosport-based side edged further ahead 92 seconds into the middle session when Jess Banner netted to make it 3-1. However, the Stars refused to back down. Despite moments of panic, they dug deep and fought their way back, showing grit and determination to secure what would turn into a well-earned draw. Lauren Summers netted at 29:03 to make it a 1-goal game. However, a minute later, Chantal Eyre would notch her hat-trick marker to restore her side's 2-goal advantage. But Charmaine Coles cut into the Amazons' lead once again moments later, meaning it was game on once more. However, the Amazons were not to be denied and ensured they would hold a 2-goal lead heading into the final period, when former Telford player Courtney Clay found the net. Oxford turned up the pressure in the third period, shutting out the Amazons as they staged their dramatic comeback. Lauren Summers netted her second of the game at 48:52 before she turned provider in the final 3 minutes when she supplied Charlie Clements with the opportunity to tie the game up. An intense last few minutes of the game saw chances at both ends, but it couldn't alter the scoreline in anyone's favour, meaning the game ended in a 5-5 draw. Lauren Summers stood out as the Midnight's MVP, delivering a commanding performance that kept Oxford in the game. Meanwhile, Linda Pearson's relentless effort and positive attitude earned her a Spirit of the Game award. Charlie Johnson came away with the Amazons Player of the Game award, with Liz Taylor taking the Spirit of the Game. There were 4 games in the Under-16s League last weekend, with Caledonia in action twice. The Iron Maidens were in D-side on Saturday, taking on the D-side Dragons. The game finished with a well-fought 3-3 draw after the Iron Maidens had taken the lead 3 times. Rebecca Nixon, Megan MacArthur and Violet Mayer all scored, with Molly McGillian collecting an assist. However, a hat-trick from Sophie Davis ensured both new sides came away with a point each. Poppy Ward and Eva Gibson registered assists for the Dragons. The Caledonia player of the game went to Sophie Ankers, who came into the Iron Maidens' goal on loan from Whitley Bay and helped the team out by making 31 saves. The Heavy Metal Hard Worker award went to Molly Walker, who not only worked her socks off on the ice, but was mentoring her young line mates throughout the game. Dragons MVP went to Lana Boats, with Millie Fletcher given the Hardest Worker award. The Swindon Top Kittens were forced to ice a short bench away to Milton Keynes Storm. The girls stepped up and gave their all, playing 2-line hockey for the first time this season. Displaying fantastic team spirit with end-to-end hockey and what was a big ice pad to take the lead in the first period. The sides were tied at 3 each at the end of the middle session, but a couple of breakaway goals sealed the win for MK in what was a very closely fought game. It was an incredible effort and indomitable spirit from the Swindon girls. Way to go, Kittens. We are all looking forward to the return home game. Grace Ferrari was the top Kittens player of the game, with Honey Seward awarded the Spirit of the Game. The Ice Bees skated off with an 8-0 win away to the Midlands Wrekin Raiders. Lara Cannon netted twice, with Daisy Duval and Grace Riley also scoring a brace. There were further goals for Sophia Fajcik and Laura Sear. Lara Cannon was named Player of the Game. The Iron Maidens faced Sheffield Shadows on Sunday, with the newcomers slipping to their first defeat. The game was full of energy and action, but ultimately a very sharp Shadows team would score free and answered in the second frame after what was a scoreless first. Libby Foster, Amy Oliver and Olivia Bath all finding a net, with Ava Marriott, Maddie Walker, Maisie Wakeford and Dora Mail collecting assists. Caledonia got a goal back in the third period when Molly McGillian scored from Rebecca Nixon, but the Shadows restored their 3-goal lead seconds later when Olivia Bath scored from Dora Mail. Iron Maiden's player of the game went to Macy Simpson, who was breaking up plays all game long, while the heavy metal hard worker went to Molly McGillian, who grabbed the lone goal. Shadows player of the game went to Ava Marriott. This week we are featuring Division 2 North, so here's a preview of the season for you. Enjoy! It was a summer of major changes for Division 2. With Caledonia going up and Solway now no longer dropping down, it means there will be a very different look to the one expected back in May. Then there was the late announcement from Grimsby, confirming the long-feared news that they would be pulling out of the WNIHL for at least a year as they rebuild. While Caledonia were successful in their application to place a second team in Division 2, with the side, who had initially considered playing out of Kirkcaldy, opting to use Kelso for their new side. That sees a league of just 7 teams then, of Telford, Sheffield, Leeds, Whitley, Widnes, Kingston, and the previously mentioned Caledonia 2, who are actually called the Caledonia Steel Queen Bees. Perhaps this season's favourites to make the playoffs are last season's runners-up, the Telford Wrekin Raiders. Having made the post-season last campaign, they will be determined to get back there again and potentially go one step further. And the good news for the Shropshire side is that the vast majority of last year's lineup has returned. Last season's top point scorer, Michelle Madziak, is vital for the Raiders. The Winnipeg-born forward hit 23 goals and 29 points to lead the team in scoring, and her goals could be what fires them to a promotion. Veterans Heather Metcalf, Anne McLean, Barbara McInnes and Karen Gregory have continued to provide great leadership and important points too, while Coaches Player of the Year Becky Craig and Tiffany Jane Miller also reached double figures in points last time out. Youngsters Maggie Whitmore and Hayley Batsford-Carrington add further offensive depth, along with Commitment Award winner Nicola Wallace, while Hong Kong-born Andrea Lam proved to be a breakout star. Sadly, though, it appears last season's players' player, Letitia Liu, hasn't returned. Letitia performed brilliantly last year, and her 12 goals and 23 points certainly helped push the club to second in the standings. With McInnes and Gregory providing the experience on the blue line, they are ably supported by youngsters Erin Tipton, Rachel Logan and Sarah Jane Murphy, while Captain's Award winner Clara Gledhill also returns, along with Zoe Wallace, who was voted the team's most improved player for last season. Telford have arguably one of the strongest goaltending tandems in the country. Alice Summerford returns for her second year of senior hockey, having made the starting spot her own last season. The youngster is a former Manchester Storm under-16s player and is on a 2-way deal with Caledonia in Division 1 North for this year. Last season, Alice put up a 93% save average, while Tegan Hyatt returns after a year away, meaning the Raiders will be difficult to score against this year. Leeds Roses are under new management for this year. Well, a new coach at least, with Ali Marsden, who is taken over from Daz Allett. The players seem to have embraced the new regime and with what appears to be a more settled lineup too. The Ellen Rowe club have looked strong in each of their first 2 seasons, but now there seems to be a steeliness about them. Leeds are led by top scorer CJ Harrison, who put up 20 goals and 40 points last season, with both her line mates also finishing in the top 4 in scoring as well. Sarah Rowlands had 8 goals and 16 points, while Taylor Simmons added 9 goals and 14 points. And a big shout out to Taylor as well. She is sort of from my neck of the woods originally, being from Elmdale in Northamptonshire. Scoring depth comes from Alia Drury, who bagged 9 points last season, with Morgan Walker posting 12 goals and 20 points, and Jazz Daniel recording 7 points in just 5 games. Completing the forward options are Jennifer Carter, who comes in from Kingston after spending the past 2 years in Hull, and Holly Hancock, who has stepped up from the Leeds Knights under-16s team. Teenage forwards Nadia Malenda and Sophie Lancashire made 7 appearances last season, with defender Eve Sadler playing 5 times. 3 look set to further establish themselves within the team for this year. Sophie was voted by the coaching team as last year's most improved player. She has been a fantastic asset to her Roses and works hard at every moment. She's becoming a key part of the squad and has a very bright future ahead of her. Experienced defenders Emma Allender, Tori Johnson and Kim Sharples continues, as does Kirsty Hodgins, who was a mid-season recruit from Kingston last year. While in goal, former Diamonds player Kira Daniel will continue with the Roses, but on a 2-way deal with the Elite League Solihull Vixens. Ella May Hobley-Flitcroft moves from Sheffield permanently after playing a game on loan for the Roses during last season. Notable departure was that of Rose Abbott, who was voted as the Players' Player for 2023-24. She has since signed with Division 1 side Solway Sharks. Perhaps no team in the league has witnessed as many changes to their roster than the Sheffield Shadows have. An influx of the veteran players from their Div 1 side arrived mid-season and filled out a roster which saw them push hard for a playoff spot. They were perhaps unlucky not to qualify for a berth last time out, and will be looking to get there again for this season. Last season's top scorer and best forward, Hayley Reynolds, who put up 6 goals and 13 points, has signed with the Div 1 side, so they will have to do without her offensive output. However, second top scorer Eleanor Shaw returns, as does Alison Brain, who was a part of that surprise mid-season switch, although it is believed Alison will return to the Div 1 side later in the campaign. New signing Emma Taylor-Lonsdale comes in from Grimsby Wolves and will guarantee goals, with coach's player and player's player Afine Idiabel-Moses returning, along with Wallace Fennessy and Elsa Williams, who returned from having done some charity work in Colombia. Youngsters Robin Wilson-Barrett, Phoebe Gregg and Dora Mail also return to add yet more firepower to their lineup. Sheffield have plenty of options on the blue line, with last season's best defender Ellen Key returning. She is joined by Jenny Smith, who won the team's Sportsmanship Award, and Jess Hughes, who claimed the Rookie Award. Other defensive options see Leah Cheetham, Eleanor Shaw and Ginny Smith all return, along with youngsters Izzy Cottam and the Yellett Bilby sisters, Rowan and Lexi. Brooke Howe, Sophia Green and Daisy Barstow move up from the club's under-16s team, with Brooke and Sophia having also featured in the Div 2 team last year as well. In goal is Wakefield-born Kirsty Robson, who, for me, is one of the best goalies not currently playing in the Elite League right now. Kirsty was another who moved down from the Div 1 side last year, but has the quality to play at a much higher level. Providing opposition in goal is last season's most improved player, Chloe Day. After starting in defence last season, she ended the year as a forward, before going between the pipes and beginning her goalie career. After making the playoffs 2 years ago, Widnes Wild finished a disappointing 5th last time out. Add to that, they have also lost top point scorer Preston Geno. However, former Belgian international Linda Decker returns, having sat out last season due to maternity. She brings a wealth of experience, having played with Kingston Diamonds in the women's top flight for 8 seasons before a year with Manchester Phoenix, and then finally ending up at Widnes. This will be the forward's 8th season with the Wild, and in that time she has put up a staggering 86 goals and 120 points in just 72 games for the club. She will look to rekindle the impressive partnership she had with Charlotte Cramp. The Wild captain is back for a 4th season, having posted 21 points in 30 games for the club. Completing the top line will be Amanda Armstrong. The former Blackburn Thunder forward is back at Widnes for what will be her 5th campaign there. However, she has not played since 2019, after some time away from the game. The second line sees last season's best forward, Ellen Tyra, continue with the talented Phoebe Patient and last season's most improved player, Jenny Hickey. Former Whitley Bay Beacons forward Sav Sumner returns to the Wild after taking last year off from hockey, with Katie Fairclough and Charlotte McAdam adding depth to their scoring options. Last season's best defender, Katie Adshed, returns, along with unsung hero Karen Cooper and players player Rachel Pearce. Other defensive options include Laura Moran, Susie Miller, Vanessa Crickmore-Clark, Lucy Kirkham and Catherine Fell, while youngster Eleanor Johnson is back for a second season after impressing during her rookie campaign. In goal will be stalwart goalie Stephanie Drinkwater, who is back for her 9th season with the club. She began her career with the Manchester Phoenix women back in 2013 and since then has averaged around a 91% save average. Backing her up will be Charlotte Jackson, who returns having sat out the last 2 campaigns. It has been something of a difficult time for the Whitley Bay Beacons since winning this division in 2022. During that time, they have seen a large turnover of players, making it difficult for coach David J.C. Hurst to get some consistent performances out of his team. However, this season appears to have a much more settled look to the side. Captain Joy Hurst, JC's wife, will lead the side once again, ably helped by alternate captains Paige Brooks and Tanya Royce. Joy was named MVP for last season, as well as being presented with the Coaches Award. Paige was named the team's unsung hero, while Tanya was named the most improved player. Top scorer for the past couple of seasons has been Iona Harrison, who has also played for the Beacons in Division 1 during their promotion campaign in 2023. And away from the ice is a footballer with a prolific scoring record. Iona was voted best forward for last season. Rowan Allen arrived last season and introduced herself with a hat-trick on her debut. Like Iona, Rowan is a former roller hockey player, and the two complement each other's styles well on the ice. The Beacons' forward options have been boosted massively by having 3 of their current under-16 players in their lineup. Kilmarnock junior Emily Duffy scores goals for fun, while Brooke Royce and Canadian-born Claire Wilson are excellent playmakers, with the 3 combining well on the same line together. Completing the forward options is Chloe Johnston, who aged out of the under-16s team over the summer, having played alongside her twin sister Leah. Like Wayne Gretzky, Chloe wears the number 99 on her jersey. On defence, Whitley can rely on Alex Browell, players player Lisa Eden, and Islay Northend, who have all played for the past couple of seasons and add some experience to the blue line. Alongside them are youngsters Isabel Johnson, who still plays for the Beacons under-16s team, and Caitlin Eastwood, who aged out over the summer. Both are on a 2-way deal with Caledonia in Div 1, while the pair continue to be a dominant force at the back for the team, with Caitlin being awarded Best Defender for last season. Danielle Vors, aka Dee, is one of the new signings, having played junior hockey at both Blackburn and Bradford. Dee is from Halifax and, despite the Yorkshire accent, actually has Geordie blood in her, thanks to her dad who grew up watching hockey at the rink. It was perhaps always a family dream to have Dee playing for the Beacons. Completing the defensive lineup is Sophie Oxley, who is another to have aged out over the Beacons under-16s over the summer. In goal is former Grimsby Wolves goalie Ruth Palmer, who is about to start her 3rd year playing in Division 2. The Mansfield-born shot-stopper will be supported by Calgary-born Lindsay Zerbin-Young, who will also play on defence for the club when she isn't between the pipes. Leaving the club over the summer was forward Amelia Hutchinson and defender Susie Rutherford. Kingston Diamonds enter their 3rd season in Div 2 North, with signs that the team are making huge strides forward in their quest to be more competitive. And when you see just how exciting some of their players are, you would have to agree it can't be far off. Veterans Kerry Greaves and Samantha Lazenby bring experience to the lineup, with the latter coming back after a few years away from the sport. The undoubted star of the team is youngster Izzy Oswin, the Nottingham-born forward aged out of the Diamonds under-16s over the summer and returns to the club's senior teams in both Div 1 and Div 2. Another of the impressive former juniors is that of Ash Clark, who made her Diamonds debut last season and making 10 appearances. The youthful talent doesn't stop there though. Ruby May Palmer, Lily May Kirby, Matilda Stockdale, Mia Blackwell, Brooke Gilby and Arabella Ho fill out a roster that will give any team in the league a game this season. Leading the team on the ice will be new captain Ketz Robinson, who has stepped down from the Elite League to help guide her new charges forward. Ketz, who was previously captained the Div 1 team as well, will continue playing at that level this season as well. Completing the forward options are Jenny Mallinson, Kate Oldroyd-Passio, Charlotte Wilkinson and Stephanie Layton. Top D pairing is that of Nevaeh Allsop and Zoe Marples, who both have experience of playing for the Diamonds at a higher level. Dawn Dickinson and Sonia Brice provide the veteran leadership at the back, while youngsters Holly Budgeon, Amber Park and the impressive Erica Proud complete the lineup. In goal will be Emily Johnson, who made her name last year by making over 100 saves in a game against Caledonia. Emily has since aged out of the Diamonds under-16s team and will also gain experience of playing for the Div 1 side this year as well. Backing her up is usually Jess Ballinson, who can also play as a forward if needs be. Caledonia Steel Queens will be entering a second team in the league this season, with the new Div 2 side Steel Queen Bees effectively backfilling the space they vacated with promotion over the summer. However, apart from one or two players who featured in this league last season, expect this to be a massively different lineup, with a focus on developing players rather than domination. Of this campaign's roster, most will be making their first appearance in the league, while Anna Comrie, Kat Constanti, Jill McDiarmid, Nastia Shvedova, Emma McPherson, Helena Phillips and Louisa Hunt have each played one league game prior to this season, and Abby Henderson, who played twice. Brodie Kidd and the German-born former Leeds Roses player Sabrina Ellis appeared 3 times last year, with Ricky Moog, goalie Tara McDonald and Bahamas-born Tatiana Donaldson appearing 4 times. However, while the vast majority of the Steel Queens may lack some experience, the same can't be said for all of them. Chloe Young was a mid-season arrival from Solway Sharks last year, where she completed back-to-back promotions to Div 1, while the likes of Marie Galloway, Lynn Sinclair and the Canadian-born Laurie Ellis will provide a strong on-ice leadership group. Completing the lineup will be Kirkcaldy-born Nikki Robertson and Dundee junior Caitlin Monk, who was amongst the top scorers for the club last season. Dutch forward Emily Camphouse, along with young defenders Violet Mayer and Jordan Troop, will come in on 2 ways from the Div 1 side, giving them more games and a chance to further their development. And so to close out this week, we will check to see what games are on this coming weekend. In the Elite League, Kingston Diamonds host Streatham Storm at 12:30 on Saturday. The game will be streamed live on the Diamonds YouTube channel, so please check their Facebook page for more details. At 1:10, the Queen Bees face the Whitley Bay Beacons down in Slough, with the North East Club streaming the game on their YouTube channel. Again, please check their social media pages for more details. Completing the Elite Triple Bill will be Solihull at home to Guildford at 6:25. Elsewhere on Saturday, Leeds Roses face Telford Wrekin Raiders at 3:45 in what will be an early championship decider. Roses streamed most of their home games last season, so please check on their social media pages for more details closer to game time. While in Division 2 South B, it's a battle of 2 of the new teams, as Invicta are at home to Lee Valley. That one has a 6:30 start. On Sunday, Bristol host another doubleheader with their Division 2 side facing Oxford in the Cup at 4 p.m, followed by their Division 1 side taking on Chelmsford at 6 p.m. And by the way the Essex Club have started this season, this should be an absolute classic. Both games should be streamed by the Huskies, so please check out their Facebook page for more details. Elsewhere, Kingston's Division 1 side host Nottingham Vipers at 12:30, with the game again being streamed live on the club's YouTube channel. Solent host Streatham in Division 2 South A at 6 p.m, with MK at home to a Swindon Topcat side still searching for their first points of the season. That game starts at 6:30. So, pick your game. If you can't make it to the rink yourself, then please do tune in and do your best to support women's hockey where you can. But that will do it for this week then. See you all next time. Bye for now.
Please make sure you're following us across all social media platforms
to keep you fully up to date with all things WNIHL.
On Facebook,
follow Ice Maidens, the voice of women's ice hockey,
And check out the website at icemaidens.wordpress.com.
On Instagram and on Twitter.
you can find the podcast
At ZPG Ice Maidens.
and for YouTube.
You can subscribe to Zero Pucks Given.
Please like, follow, share and subscribe
It all does wonders for spreading the good word
of the ZPG network.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
अगं शांते, कुठं निघालीस?
माहेरी जाऊन येते.
आत्ताच तर गेली होतीस ना?
नवरा चांगलाय तुझा. नुसता नवराच नाही तर सरकार बी चांगलंय माझं.
चांगलं? ते कसं?
बायकासनी एसटी बसच्या तिकिटावर 50% सूट आहे.
अगं पण ही योजना बंद झाली तर आणि दुसरं सरकार आलं तर?
म्हणूनच माझं मत भाजप महायुतीला. ते हाय तरच एसटी बसच्या तिकिटावर 50% सूट आहे.
भाजप महायुतीला मतदान करा आणि विजयी करा.